Let me ask you about something that some people don't even think about anymore, and that is radio and TV interviews.
Hmm.
Sounds like a dinosaur just to say it out loud, but still, there are still radio shows and there are still TV shows that are looking for interviews.
Yes, they are.
Is there any value in it? I mean, there must be still some. I mean, you have to drive to the station, I suppose, maybe, but not always, I guess.
I've done several radio shows here in the last couple of months that I did exactly the same way we're sitting here now.
Hmm.
I've got a decent little studio set up. We did this by the internet. Got in, dialed on this way. I've done some of them by phone.
Mm-hmm.
If I go back 20 years, I used to do a lot of them straight up from the phone or from the landline.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things of any exposure like that where you go and do a show is good promotion. Showing up on TV is really good promotion. And again, this is one of those things of the more you show up and the more you then take those assets and promote them via social media. One of the things that I always teach is it's not only about the promotion. It's not about the fact that you showed up on TV. It's not about that you showed up on radio. It's not that you showed up on a podcast. What did you do with that next?
Hmm.
Did you then go and promote that show? Did you promote the segment that you were on? Did you promote the fact that you were there and share it with your audience so that people could go and see it? One of the things that we as creators often forget is that there's components to being a good guest. There's a component to showing up and getting to do more promotion. Bobby Nash does a fantastic job of this. If you don't know Bobby, he's number one, he's a great human being. He's an actor, he's a writer, he is always out there, and if he's got an opportunity to speak, he will be there. For Books and Beer, he drove from outside of Atlanta to Charlotte just to come out and hang out for a few people, signed some books, sold a few books, and drove home. But we also recorded that and promoted that as a part of the Books and Beer show. Anything that's an opportunity, again, is not about the silver bullet. It's not about the immediate sale. It's about how do you build reputation over time.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got an opportunity to be on TV, odds are I'm going to be there. If I can be on radio, I'm going to be there. If I can stand in front of a room of 10 people, I've been there and done that. I've also spoken to crowds of 10,000. And it's not necessarily about the large audience, it's the right audience.
Okay. The only downside I can think of for television and radio is that there are no links. That is to say, if you go on a podcast, they can put the link, to your website or your Amazon page underneath the, in the notes about it. But TV and radio doesn't really have that. That's the only lacking I can think of.
Well, yeah, that, and I'd say that's still true to a large extent, but not as much as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of radio shows, if they're doing interviews, they're then stripping that show to become a podcast. If you find a lot of TV segments, the B-roll, the stuff where you have a guest come in and talk about their writing career, they're talking about the new book release, things like this, those programs now find the value in stripping that out to be a video segment that drops on YouTube. It drops on Facebook. So doing those sorts of things, if you're going to the right media, they actually are doing the things that give you tools, because those programs recognize that the value of you being on for a 3-minute segment is you fill the 3-minute segment. But if you then share that 3-minute segment with your audience, which could be local, it could be regional, it could be international, when you as a guest share that out, you've then gone back and shared and increased their viewership to come back and see it. And many more TV stations and radio stations are recognizing and embracing that the new media is online, and to be relevant and to be shared with a more relevant audience, they've got to be where that audience is.
Okay.
So, and again, it's also about, is it the right audience for you? Again, when I talk about, I've stood in a room of 10 people. I've stood in that room of 10 people and made a lot of money out of it because it was the right 10 people for what I needed to be there to speak about.
Okay.
I've done a lot of very small conventions where it was a couple of hundred people. But it may not have been about a couple of book sales. It may have been about somebody that needed services. I may have sat down with somebody who then wound up coming in and doing some work for me. Um, everything has intent, and the first thing that goes along with intent is opportunity comes from being willing to say yeah and take a shot at it.
Okay. As you were talking, I was thinking, for the last 2 months, I've been watching the NBC News, 22 minutes worth, the whole show, basically, every night before I go to bed on YouTube. So, yeah, apparently they're just putting it all up on the online. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's online. You can point people to that segment. If you get creative, then you strip your segment out, you cut it, you edit it, you credit it, and you post it to Facebook. I'll give a perfect example. John Hartness, his I just went blank, of course.
It's an edited show. I can slice it out.
It's an edited show. I'm rambling now. Hang on a minute.
You don't have to fill airtime.
I've been doing way too many shows. Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know why I could remember that. Whoopi Goldberg. I was in the car with John not long after this happened, and he says, "You're not going to believe this." When I said, "Okay," he goes, "But the short version is," he goes, "Well, so Whoopi Goldberg loves Quincy Harker." I'm like, "Well, that's sweet." I said, "When are you getting it on The View?" And he goes, "Well," he says, he says, "I went back and forth." He goes, "I asked for that," and he says, "She put me in touch with a producer about being on for her birthday show, and he said that the birthday show was already planned and done, but Quincy Harker is going to be featured as on their 10 Gifts of Christmas show." And I said, "Fantastic."
Wow. Okay.
And so when that happened, I stripped the video out, we cut the segment out, we ran it, we promoted it. I don't know that there was a big bump from it, but it was one of those things of to have the book on a national show like that and be able to use that for promotion in perpetuity.
It's gold. Yeah.
It's gold. Put that up on the website in your list of your major starring roles. Well, the book got to be featured on The View. If you have a YouTube channel and you create a playlist for here's my top hits, I'd put something like that up there as one of my top hits. It may be a video that gets lost to the ages, unless somebody goes digging. But if I have a playlist that's like, here's the top places my books have been featured, I'd put that in my top hits.
Yeah. Excellent.